Hello, welcome back to the channel. So this is kind of something that I felt for a while now, especially since the release of Amphorius, is that of how important story is for StarRail as like a whole. Since when people aren't really into the story, like you can really feel it. Like the biggest example is probably 2.6, which I actually did enjoy 2.6 personally, but like objectively it is probably like the weakest of the story because like it's way too long. It drags out a lot, you know. Like it's got a lot of problems, you know. Like on the opposite end of that, you have something like Bellabog, which I feel like almost no one really complains about. I see, because it is basically just like the perfect first planet. Now that does kind of bring me to Amphorius, which I have seen insanely mixed opinions on. Like, I've seen some people say that it is amazing, I've seen some people say it was kind of mid, and I've seen some people say that it was just, like, absolutely trash, and, like, we'll get into that in a second. Now, for me personally, I loved the 3.0 quest, but I don't think it was perfect. You know, there were definitely some problems that I had with it, namely, like, the section with casters felt, like, way too, like, hand-holding, and it kind of just told you what you were supposed to do. The part with Herta just felt kind of weird and, like, out of place and kind of drawn out. I don't know, that's, like, the one part that I didn't really like that much. And, like, the part after you save the city felt a bit, like, too long for me. But besides that, I did enjoy the quest quite a lot, and I think that the people who were saying it is trash are kind of just out of their minds, I'm gonna be honest. And, yeah, I know some people did also say, like, the amount of black screens did also really annoy them. It didn't bother me personally, but I could definitely see how that could be an issue. I do definitely hope that they take a lot of these things and improve on it, since one of the things that makes me the most excited about Amphorius is that it actually feels like they're taking their time with it. Because one of the main problems with Pentaconi, I feel, is that I didn't feel like they had enough time to do everything that they wanted to do. So it felt kind of rushed and like they were just shoving everything in at the same time, you know? Like, Brabin and Boothill, like, barely did anything in the entire main story, you know? Like why was Boothill there? I didn't even really feel like he served any purpose a lot of the time, you know? And while, yes, Amphorius is very long, like, I think it's like 10 plus hours, or like even more, depending on how, obviously, you know, you don't need to play it all at once, but at the same time, it does feel like they're actually expanding on things, and it doesn't feel rushed, at least for me. I also feel like one reason the story does feel kind of long, or is longer than some of the other games, is because the story isn't like split up. Like in Zenless, there is like chapters, and in Genshin there is like different acts, you know. But in StarRail, it's basically just one long continuous story. Like there isn't really any like segments in it, you know? Like there's like parts of the story, but there's not like actually like definitive like ends and beginnings, you know? Which is also probably one reason why it feels super long. But like more than just that, the story also has like a huge impact on characters. I feel both in terms of how Hoyo seems to be designing them and on perception of characters. I mean, the biggest example of this is probably Aventurine, since like the excitement for him before the story and after was like night and day. I feel like before his release, people weren't that excited for him, and then people play the story, and then people love Aventurine, you know? But even more than that, I feel like Hoyo wants every character to feel important, which is probably one of the reasons why we don't get many 4 stars, since 5 stars are more exciting, and they can, you know, make them feel more important if they are 5 stars, you know? But also, even like the 4 stars that we do get are actually pretty involved in the story. I mean, the most obvious one that everyone's gonna say is like Tingyun, but I mean, just like as using Pentaconi as an example, Gallagher was pretty important for getting a lot of the lore and stuff like that, and Misha was also pretty important with like the big reveal that he had as well, which is also one of the things that I'm actually pretty happy about with Amphorius. Because so far, we've only been introduced to, like, I think less than half the cast so far, which I actually think is great, since it lets every character get more development and get more attention and actually feel more important and not feel like they're just kind of there just to be there, you know? But, yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, because there's definitely some stuff I didn't talk about. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.